Hi class, Steve Cady here, and I'd like to highlight a student who did super work on the first STA module. And Andrew, thank you for taking the time and taking this as seriously as you're taking your career, your professional pursuits, and the signature that you put on the work you do. This speaks a lot to your character. It speaks a lot to your commitment. And I think as we look through this and we go through the answers, particularly the NACE competencies and what employers are looking for, you're the kind of person that I think people will and do look to as a leader. I believe and I'm sure that people also want to follow you. And there's no greater compliment than to know that people are willing to follow you as a leader. And I think that you are also a great team player and a follower of others and willing to work well and learn. So there's a lot of great things in your post. When we look at the categories, professional, first complete, then professional, thoughtful, and discussion, you nailed it in all four areas. And so I'd like to take a minute to go through your post, which is a mini paper. So all of you know, this is not just a traditional post. We have the four mini papers and in the class, which are a part of the discussion boards. And so we begin with STA. And you write your little mini paper, submit it to your group, and then you have a discussion around all of your mini papers as your initial post. And we look for 10 posts that have where you're reflecting on 5 and you are having a conversation with one person or 2 people in particular. And so, Andrew, again, thank you. I admire and appreciate the hard work that you put into the class already and getting off to a great start. To begin, I think that you are very concise and you elaborate at just the right amount. And so your introduction sets off the stage. We know who you are, why it's important, and there is a positive attitude that just says, let's get the semester started and jump right in. And then you come into your question, and it's interesting how you do a nice job in the mini intro of really explaining how this is a very popular question, and you've had it many times. In addition, talking about how it relates to the competencies and realizing that this question gives you a chance to, if you look at those competencies, and if that's what everybody, that employs people really look for, and you can see the statistics when you look at the competencies and what they posted there on the website, and the information provided, you all can see how those, if you can speak to those and weave your story around showing that you do and practice those things, as it says here, I think it really gives you a great opportunity to stand out and to get that dream job and that dream next step opportunity. And then I think you pick a nice example here, Andrew. I like how you format this and lay this out so it's complete and professional. You're bolding key terms, which gets at the thoughtful, and bringing in and relating it to the content and the materials for that particular module, this one being STA. You answer each question, and again, you bold another key term and you explain things. And I like how you give what you're saying, you answer the question, you elaborate on your answer, and you give examples. That lets me know and lets others reading, get more information. And I think by reading this, I'm learning. The student is learning. Your group is learning from you, and it's giving you a chance to articulate these key terms and concepts and explain yourself. All of this is going to serve you well and more competently and confidently interviewing, presenting yourself, and giving yourself the best chance to go after that dream job in your ideal organization. And again, you do that here with your review, your reactions to the course, your group discussion request. Love that example here. Really demonstrating a real live example of how a group has to discuss. I think the key thing here that you emphasize is that it's important that your group not just say nice job and affirm everything about you. You want to be challenged. You want to see that you all are giving each other feedback and encouraging each other to get better, sharper. And that's what this class is about. And use these groups There are 6 degrees of freedom. There's lots of opportunities to network and so forth. And I think you are really demonstrating, let's leverage this opportunity to to fine tune ourselves and to sharpen ourselves and develop ourselves. And then I think the other thing here is that in your reactions to the course, excited. I find the material extremely interesting and practically useful, not only for work, but in life in general. And for all of you that are brand new and just getting started and don't have the experience that he has, I think what's important is that you realize how relevant the content is, how relevant the key and basic concepts are. And what I did is I really focused on boiling down the concepts from all these big books and these big content areas down to the very core ideas, research, and practical evidence-based management practices and tools that you can use. And so I think that you see this here, and I'm glad that you do, and I appreciate your commitment to learning this, as well as seeing the interest in it. I love the exam question that you have here. It is a middle to upper middle Bloom's taxonomy. It's a creative question. A person has to read the material, understand the material in order to be able to pick out an answer from these 4 responses. And your explanation, where to find it, and everything else, great, thank you, perfect. Your leadership interview, I think you did a really nice job here of describing and reading through the materials that were provided. It's clearly evident that you did learn from and study the informational interview information, that you pulled away some of these key learnings here, and a great way to network and meet people, a great way to learn about different aspects. Planning for the informational interview is just as important as the interview itself. 1 in 12 information interviews results in a job offer, and it turns an interview around and puts you in control. And then, I like how you talk here about what you don't agree with, and I tend to agree with you on this notion that you've got to make yourself available, and you don't want to give them hey, can you meet with me on this time, and this time, and that's it. You might give them a couple suggested times and say, I'm available to meet anytime you want, and I could meet on this, and this. Or you can ask them, can you give me some times that work best for you? Give me 2 or 3 times that work best for you, and I will adjust my schedule to be able to meet with you. I think that's another way to do it. The difference between the informational interview and the behavioral interview, well said. That shows again you read the material, and getting all the way down to you thinking through it and utilizing this opportunity to again broaden your network and give you more exposure. And what I have found is informational interviews, people love to give them. They love to talk with students, particularly students who say, hey, I want to learn from you. People want to give back. And particularly the people you admire, I'll tell you this, you admire them for a reason. It's typically because they are really special human beings that have a depth and a set of core values about giving back to society and to the others around them. So they will more than willingly talk with you. And that's why it's so important to make sure you are prepared for your interview in advance. And I appreciate that. And then I think in conclusion, wow, this is definitely a different style of learning than what I'm used to, as we discussed in the webinar earlier today from our in-class webinar. I used to read the chapter, post a discussion, take a quiz with no interaction with the instructor. This style provides me with a foundation and blueprints to structure, and all I had to do was read the blueprints, build a structure. By answering the above questions, I feel like I have more in-depth understanding of key concepts like STAR, behavioral interview, and informational interviewing. And I'm looking forward to reading all the posts from the group. That's great. And all of these techniques, everything that we put in and I put into this course, each and everything is intended to help you and add to your toolkit for success in life. So again, thank you for doing a super job on this post. Remember, this is your little mini paper you post to your group. It's a little bit different than a traditional post. Rather than being separated out, it's a little mini paper here. And Andrew, good job here. And then when I click into your discussion, you go through, you post it as a PDF, which is great. You can also post inside. For those of you who did that, that's fine. And then you really gave people thoughtful, reflective posts, gave them information to help them, you got into conversation with people, and you spent your time really creating and building a learning community in your group. I really appreciate that. Last thing I want to say is in terms of all the groups out there, we had one group that had 84 total posts, and we had at the most, and we had the one group with 34 total posts as a group. So I'd encourage you all to really take this opportunity to get to know each other, to leverage the networking opportunities in your group. And I wish you well with the next post. And again, Andrew, super job. High five, and thank you again for making teaching for me a worthwhile experience when I get to see people like you take advantage of the things I've worked real hard to put together that I think can help you go after that dream job in your ideal organization. So that's it for now. Take care.